Hi there, welcome to the Twowaymarkets Weekly Focus. This is the technical analysis partner. We're sponsored by Trend Signal. My name's Adrian and I'll be taking you through the charts for the week commencing the 24th of October. So, a few things have happened obviously in the last week. A lot of our trades have continued to rally higher, which has been going quite nicely. A bit of chop on gold, but let's have a look and see where these markets are heading and also look at those major support and resistance areas as well. First of all, what I want to look at is gold. This is the gold future. We were stopped out of our our long trade rather, on Tuesday last week, which is a little bit frustrating. We still managed to take some profits, but it wasn't quite what we were looking for. This chart I think is looking quite interesting now because we can see a higher high being posted here towards the tail end of last week, and a decent bit of buying on Friday and today, Monday. So I think it's starting to look quite interesting. This is being supported by the major direction on the monthly chart as well. Let's just very quickly have a look at that. You see the green indicators there maintaining our buying bias there. Let's just quickly go back to the daily. So in terms of support, in terms of resistance areas here, at the moment our indicators haven't yet turned red, so we're not looking at buying our indicators haven't turned green yet, so we're not looking at buying just yet, but resistance would be around from here, this 1681 area, and then potentially this sort of 1770, 1760 area there where this red line is coming down to meet us. So that's the sort of resistance areas we are looking at in terms of going long on gold, and then in terms of any protection, if protection down there. Really, we don't really want to see it closing below this 1600 level there. So there's a decent bit of support in that area there, that 1600 level there on gold futures there. So they're the main support and resistance areas at the moment as we speak. Okay, so looking at crude oil next. This is again the crude oil futures, and what we're going to be looking at here is really the target zone we talked about last week. So we hit our target on Wednesday. I talked about 89.41. You can see the number being plotted here by Trend Signal. This is a significant resistance area. The market's hit it, and it's hit it quite dramatically, having fallen about $5 from that test. So Trend Signal really giving a good area of where that resistance is likely to be and just stopping the market. If you're still long crude oil, 87.93 currently, again, this still represents significant resistance in this 89.40 area there. So, that's a good resistance area. Again, whilst you may not get up there this week, certainly that $91, $92 area as well is pretty reasonable resistance there. This red line here representing pretty reasonable resistance, currently trading at 91.84. Okay, in terms of any sort of support, stop levels and things like that, really we don't want to see it looking to close below this bar here. So if you're looking at a stop, I wouldn't really want the day to close below this sort of 85.92 area, quite frankly. We're already out of our trade, but if you're still in it, I still think we're looking for that 89.41. The trend still looks good. The indicators are still positive, so there's nothing really to make us rush out of long trades on crude oil right now, but this certainly represents for me a pretty attractive take profit area there, having gone long in that sort of $83 region. Looking at FTSE, FTSE just continued to break higher, really, this week. We had a bit of a little correction there, and it looked like we might have been getting a bit of a sell trade as we moved through the week last week. But actually, the indicators remained green, not giving us a sell trade at all on Trend Signal. And what we actually found was significant buying continued then on the Friday, and here we are just ticking up a little bit higher today as well. We haven't taken out those highs yet from last Monday, but, my call still remains the same on the FTSE that, resistance in this sort of 55.80 area, top of the price envelope there. We've also got a few pivot points. As I compress the charts up, you can see where those green dotted lines are and where they represent significant resistance, this red one as well. It's a number of resistance point here, 55.60, 55.76 and 56.05 as well, representing pretty reasonable areas of resistance. And markets have a, pretty decent habit of finding support and resistance at these dotted lines. You can see how the price reacts here off that previous support point, here, here, here. These areas are all automatically plotted by the software, and they do help us with a bit of guidance in terms of those support and resistant areas there. So, I believe this market continues higher. It's this 5600 area, 56.80, something like that, where we're going to find a bit of resistance, I think. So that's where I'll be looking to exit long trades. But, you know, that's really just going on the charts, major support and resistance levels. Certainly for now, the indicators are very much still green there. Okay, looking at the S&Ps. This is obviously going to be fairly similar. Really, you're looking around this sort of 1255 area there as I compress up the chart. The market's continuing to go up after our buy a couple of weeks ago, but now here we are, 1236. I'd expect hopefully to get at this 1255, 1260 area there. So there's potentially another 20 points or so on the S&Ps there. That's 200 points in spread betting terms. So certainly the market moving and continuing to move up a little bit higher. You can see the green lines here and here, coinciding with the top of the price envelope. I believe that could well present us with some significant resistance, and we can. But you know, the market's breaking out right now. The equity markets are breaking out. They've taken out their highs from the end of August, beginning of September, and they're looking pretty healthy right now, to tell you the truth. Okay, let's just move on a little bit. Let's have a look at some currencies now. We looked at Aussie dollar and sterling dollar last week. With Aussie dollar, we were really looking at 144.40 as our target zone. We can see this pivot point here coinciding with this red top of the price envelope. This, for me, is a very decent target zone where I'd expect the price to just stop in its tracks. You know, we've kind of nearly got there, 104.23 today. So any long traders, you know, really, this is the area to look to sort of revisit those positions and perhaps look to take some of that profit off, maybe, you know, as we approach the top of the price envelope there, where that major resistance is likely to be. The market's gone up a lot, you know, like elastic bands, they just can't keep stretching and stretching. So it may be this market's got to give at some point, and this could well represent the best area for that. If the market stops and just takes out this 102.23 area, this pink level here, then again I'll be looking at closing out my position and just exiting there, so using that as my stop loss. So if the day closes through this 102.20 area, that's when I'll be looking at lobbing out the position there. Okay, and then finally, just have a quick look at sterling US dollar. This market just continues to rally. I wasn't really expecting such a move. Certainly on Monday I was saying that we may look to run out of steam fairly soon, but what a move on Friday. It really was a ridiculous move, and as we tested up to the top of the price envelope once again, can it go much beyond 160? Who knows? You know, I really wasn't really expecting this sort of a move on Friday, but you know, there's a lot of fundamentals that are going on in the marketplace as well at the moment. Certainly in terms of resistance areas at the moment, the next resistance area for me is looking in this sort of 160.16, 160.20 area here, this dotted red line coinciding with the top of the price envelope there. That's a really sort of reasonable resistance area for me. And then, you know, for the week. And then in terms of any sort of risk or stops, if it closes again below this pink step stop area here, that's where I'll be looking at closing out any long trades there on gold over the longer term. So you're looking at around 157.40 there in terms of that stop close, so the price closing through that level there. Okay, so hopefully, you know, that's proving useful for you all. You know, if you want to know more about TrendSignal, please go to trendsignal.co.uk and find out a bit more about the indicators we use to help make our trading decisions. There's been some great trades recently, and I'm looking forward to updating you next week on Monday as well. So thanks very much for listening, and speak to you soon, and happy trading. Bye-bye.